Hello, my name is Greta Harrison. Welcome to Born Fabulous Podcast, episode 18 of season 2. The theme of this season is changing the world one friendship at a time. You will hear interviews with best friends. One person happens to have a disability and the other does not. This episode is the third of an 8-part interview with Micah Fialka-Feldman and his best friend, Tori Cedar. Micah Fialka-Feldman is well known as one of the stars of Dan Habib's acclaimed movie, Intelligent Lives. He is a teaching assistant at Syracuse University, a keynote speaker, and an author. Micah's best friend, Tori Cedar, is a graduate student working on her doctorate. She and Micah have been best friends for about 6 years. Tori does not have a disability. In this episode, you will hear Micah and Tori discuss humor, InclusiveU, and guardianship. Please enjoy this short clip of Love is a Potion. The lyrics are by Melissa Riggio, who was the focus of episodes 1 through 4 in season 1. The music and voice are by Rachel Fuller. Because you love Micah's one-liners, right?
He needs to write a book. I know he was already doing a book, but he needs to have the one-liners in there. Yeah, he's really funny. And I don't even think he knows it. I don't even think he knows that his one-liners are funny. I just think he's blunt. That's the good word. He's blunt and he's sly. He doesn't hold things back, which I know sometimes has its cons, but for the most part, they're fine. But they're just funny. They're just things that maybe sometimes people wouldn't say. And they're just there's no they're not premeditated. It's just boom. And they just really make you laugh. It's great. It's really great.
Do you have any recent examples?
Yeah. So recently when I was up the last time, I was trying to parallel park, which is always interesting. I don't need to do that a lot. I live in a suburb in New Jersey, so I don't have to parallel park a lot. And Micah was helping me. So he got out of my car and was helping direct, me to pull the back into the space or whatever. And he successfully helped me. He was, telling me to keep going, move forward, whatever. And I was finagling on stopping the car. The door was locked, but I didn't know the door was locked. And he was trying to get back into the car, but the door was locked, but the window was down. So it was fine. He could just simply went in there and just pressed unlock, as I was finagling myself and, being my quirky self. And completely just in the midst of this, he was like, I turn over and just straight face, no laughing, no smiling, straight face. So you're just going to leave me out here to freeze? And that was, and I was like, no, of course I'm not. Would you just give me a second? And yeah, and just things like that. I mean, even when we're running and I'll say something or we'll be running at a certain pace and he's like, am I going too fast? And we're not going fast at all. Not fast at all. And it just very one line, very quiet, very subtle, which is always so great.
Micah?
Yeah.
What is your take on this?
It's funny.
You're just being you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You just call it like you see it, huh?
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about Syracuse University. The program there is called InclusiveU.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm correct, it's probably one of the top programs in the country. There's maybe about a dozen that are truly, truly, truly inclusive when it comes to a program that will have and support people with intellectual disabilities in their campus, in their coursework, in their life. There are hundreds of programs across the country, but there's only about a dozen that are really as inclusive as Syracuse is. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about that. Whoever wants to go first, talk about the program a little bit.
Yeah, it's a program for students with disabilities. We are able to take classes, live in the dorm, do anything that any other college student wants to do, join clubs, join groups, join anything that any other college wants to do. Yeah.
And the main difference is how you matriculate, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not getting the same diploma as everybody else for matriculation reasons, but you're doing the same thing as everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, Tori, your take on it?
Yeah, I could get emotional talking about it, so I will try not to. But I think why I get this kind of way about it is because when I started at Syracuse with Micah, well, when I started, Micah started before me, but I'm saying with Micah was when I got there with him in 2014. InclusiveU looked a lot different than what it looks like now. We were really tiny. Students didn't live on campus. That was recent that had happened. It was, what year was that, Micah? Was it 16 or 17 that came into effect?
16.
So I was really happy that I got to see that come into effect because that was something that they worked really hard for. I think the biggest piece for me that I feel has, I think the thing that I'm the most proud of, I guess, of the programming is for me when I was an undergrad as a matriculated student, the organizations that I got involved in made me the person that I am. And that was, of course, InclusiveU and other things that I involved myself with. And a big part of that was making sure that a lot of my friends in InclusiveU could also join those programs and join those clubs with me. And that was something that really happened, I would say, my junior year, when I was really pushing for a lot of my friends at InclusiveU to kind of get involved in different things. And now, I mean, I've been gone for 2 years now, and it's definitely something that people are getting involved in all these different clubs, and they're, what started as like being in the similar clubs to what I was, to expanding into things that I don't even know about, and that for me has been super emotional. And I love seeing the expansion, and we're getting students from all over the country, and they're living on campus with us and all that stuff. So it's been wonderful.
That's great. Well, it's a model for so many other programs out there and a sign of how things are changing for the better. So I'm so glad that you both, I mean, Micah, you wouldn't be who you are without it either, would you?
Yep.
I mean, you're a teaching assistant at Syracuse University. I want to make sure I get that point across. Micah, I would like to know what your feelings are about guardianship.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and tell me what you think about guardianship.
Okay. Guardianship is like when parents have guardians, and when people have guardians, people have to know how to take care of, like, know how to know how to, like, stand up for their rights and be able to stand up for knowing how parents can, like, learn how to have their child be their own guardian, and trying to teach parents that it's okay to take risks and be able to learn about that.
That was great. You covered a lot in that. So you're obviously your own guardian, correct? Right. And I think the key phrase that you said there as a parent is we have to allow our kids to take risks.
Yeah.
Because it can be scary.
Yeah.
And we have to allow them to take risks. But you're talking about people being allowed to decide their own futures, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's important to you. Self-advocacy is important to you, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so when you end up with somebody one day, because I know you want to get married, when you end up with somebody one day, you want somebody who's strong, who can do that, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. Somebody who is going to be okay living independently with you, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Tori, what is your take on guardianship? You're in the university setting. You were at InclusiveU, which I do want to talk about a little bit after this question, and you were you also working in the public schools. So, what is your take on it?
I like everything else, I've learned a lot from Micah, and I have always been really supportive of Micah's I guess commitment and dedication to himself being his own guardian. Of course, I understand parents' concerns. I'm not a parent, but I know I will be one day, and I know that I obviously give empathy and understand and hear out a lot of parents' concerns and wanting to be a guardian. However, I think, like echoing what Micah said, parenting is scary regardless. Of course, it brings on its own, as you can speak to, Greta, it brings on its own trials and tribulations and worries when, you have a child with any kind of varying ability. However, I really truly think that the whole independence piece is really important in their becoming their own person and finding their own identity. And I'm definitely an ally to that. And being Micah's best friend, I've really seen how incredible his, the things that he's done and the places where he's been in his life and the support that he's gotten in being his own guardian has been so incredible. And I love that. It's been so cool to watch, and just from being his friend, not even being in the community or practicing to be a professional and working with parents and students and all that stuff, just being Micah's friend and watching him be his own guardian has been so cool, and I'm really proud of him.
And we all know that there's a small percent of the population that does truly need guardianship, but it's a much smaller percent than is happening.
Definitely.
It's a much smaller percent, just like inclusion in schools. Definitely. We need to be including 99.9% of students in schools and in academic courses, in general academic courses, and we're not. It's a very, very small percent that can't be included in school, and it's a very, very small percent that need guardianship. So. To those parents out there who are about that stage, you really need to research this, talk to a lot of different sources, and make that decision. But Micah, and there's so many other self-advocates like Micah, can tell you that they can do so much more than the quote-unquote experts ever thought they could do. So
Definitely.
Yeah. Let's talk about the time that we're in right now. We're all worried about the coronavirus, and
I like try to take breaks of not worrying about it.
That's good. And that's true because we can't panic we can't have the TV on 24/7 talking about it, can we? Or even the radio. So that's good. But you talked about how you have a text with Amanda, a group text with Amanda and Tori, right?
Yeah.
Is that because of what we're going on now?
No.
Oh, okay. No. You just have that group text always.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So that was already in place.
It was.
Okay. So that's good. So it's already in place, and it just helps that you have that now, right?
Yeah.
And I know you have a lot of other friends. The audience should know that when we originally started talking about doing this in 2019, I think it was 5 people that Micah wanted to have in this. And so then it came back to logistics of really what was going to work out. So Micah has a lot of close friends, and I'm sure you're texting many of those other people as well, correct, Micah? Okay, so when we go back to your friendship, part of your everyday life is you're in contact with each other. When you're going through this is a question really for Tori. Tori, you're, up until this week, you were working in the public schools. Do you sometimes think about how something would have affected Micah or how Micah would have been in that situation? Does that ever happen to you?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm in a school system. I'm working, like I said, I'm working with students who are deaf and hard of hearing. So obviously it's different. I'm not primarily working with students with intellectual or developmental disabilities, but it's another layer of, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to make sure that our students are learning, the accessibility of, virtually learning, having, closed captioning and interpreters and all of those things. So of course my mind thinks about, when I'm thinking about my friends that would be, like Micah, 20 years ago or so or 10, 15, 20 years ago when he was going through school, what would this look like for him? How would we rely on his parents to kind of make sure that the teaching was being done? What would that be accessible? I don't know, where would his parents be working? How are we making sure that every single student that we're working with every day, are their IEPs being met at home? Are we giving them the right accommodations to learn at home that they would in school? And of course, that's what we were thinking about at school, at the high school that I'm at now. And that's exactly what I'd be thinking about. And then I do think about with all my friends that are definitely struggling in this time.
And Micah, when you're going through your day-to-day stuff, like maybe when you're in Syracuse and you're going by one of the benches that you used to sit down and talk to Tori on, do you here and there think about that? Oh, I wonder what Tori's doing right now?
Sometimes, yeah, I do.
That's nice. And the fact that you're a daily contact too, that's so heartwarming. Thank you for listening to Born Fabulous Podcast's 18th episode of Season 2. I hope you enjoyed it and want to hear more. If you would like to see this episode, it is available on YouTube and on bornfabulouspodcast.com. The friendship between Micah and Tori is a joy to see as well as hear. In episode 19, Micah and Tori will talk about Micah's circle of support, which helps him be independent. To see some photos and videos of Micah and Tori, or to sign up for our email list, please go to www.bornfabulouspodcast.com. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, find us on Twitter at podcastborn, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're also on Pinterest. I'd be honored if you would leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Now, please enjoy this clip of Love is a Potion. The lyrics are by Melissa Riggio, who was the focus of episodes 1 through 4 in Season 1. The music and voice are by Rachel Fuller.
Love